Live from our 7 Tasmania studios, your nightly news with Kim Miller begins now.
Infrastructure and business are the big winners, but welfare groups are worried job seekers face a bleak future, and childcare centres say they've missed out.
After digging through the budget, childcare centres weren't impressed with what they found.
Not a lot, sadly. We waited with bated breath, but pretty disappointed really that we hardly got a gig at all.
The sector says it's been shortchanged on addressing a skills shortage and on extra funding in Tasmania. There's also anger at the other end of the age spectrum. It's feared older people will be shunned when it comes to jobs, once wage subsidies kick in for hiring staff under 35.
It's disappointing that it's not a level playing field for older job seekers as well.
Despite tax cuts for Tasmanians, welfare groups argue the vulnerable will be left out in the cold, especially with JobSeeker winding back.
Last night's budget did nothing to give certainty to the 39,000 Tasmanians that are on income support.
But the business lobby has seen its wish list filled. Instant asset write-offs a key highlight.
We'll see businesses investing, which we need to see desperately. It's a budget that is really lined up for business, and we expect businesses across Tasmania to be very happy today.
Big ticket items already announced, $360 million to be tipped into infrastructure. More than half will go towards bridges and causeways between Hobart and Sorell alone. A whopping $80 million will be splashed on irrigation, meaning work on the Don scheme will start next year. One figure the state government was carefully watching, Tassie's slice of GST, growing to $2.4 billion.
We welcome the fact that we haven't gone backwards in our GST, and that provides us for certainty in terms of the initiatives we're rolling out.
A new group will also be set up to fast-track Marinus Link, hopefully answering the question of who will ultimately pay for it. Unions and Labor say health funding is woefully lacking.
There should have been investments in social housing. There needed to be more investment in Tasmania's health system, which was already in crisis before COVID.
Anger from the Greens over no cash for Hobart Light Rail. Cassie O'Connor bringing back a familiar sledge.
It's a budget for blokes, again, from the federal government, which is all about roads and bridges and doesn't invest in people who need it most.
The countdown is now on for Tasmania's budget, expected to be handed down in just a month's time. Sean McComish, 7 Tasmania News.
Meanwhile, Tasmania's struggling arts sector says the budget has fallen short. The industry is still crippled by the pandemic, with many performances cancelled for the remainder of the year. The sector is worried for its future once JobKeeper payments dry up and there's no federal funding to boost it.
Dancers without an audience to perform for. TasDance live shows are unlikely for the remainder of the year, leaving those on stage strapped for cash and without federal support.
We were the first to get hit and we're going to be the last to get out of this. The arts sector has been hit incredibly hard. Unfortunately, this disappointing result in terms of how the arts sector is being supported.
Some, like Sarah Harrington, lost their job in an instant. She was meant to be touring Europe as an Irish dancer. Instead, she's training at TasDance in the hope she can eventually return to work. TasDance and the Princess Theatre have been deemed ineligible for the previous federal stimulus package.
It didn't cater for venues, so there was nothing within that package that we were able to apply for as a venue to help us keep the place going and to do the work that we've been doing behind the scenes.
The 944-seat theatre reduced to 250 patrons under current restrictions, which would leave many productions unable to break even. Tasmanian artist Leonie Duff says the community needs the arts sector as much as they need it for their livelihood. The industry providing mental support for Tasmanians needing a lift during the pandemic.
There's nothing more important as far as I'm concerned than that people in a situation like this where we have a difficult social, economic, political situation, that we focus on how important the arts are for people to remain healthy and positive.
Elizabeth O'Neill, 7 Tasmania News.
Turning to other news now, and Hobart is set to have direct flights to the Gold Coast within months as tourism slowly starts its comeback. But as airlines continue to announce new routes, there are warnings flight schedules could take years to fully recover.
More than a dozen hire cars lined up outside this family business, but there's no one to rent them. Paul Hussey has been growing AAA car rentals for 5 years, but when COVID hit, business came to a screeching halt.
This is my livelihood, it's my business. I put everything into it over the last 5 years, and to have it completely closed down with something beyond your control it's heart-wrenching.
Left waiting for borders to reopen.
We're all doing it tough and we're all waiting for tourism to return. So when the borders open and it's safe to visit, we're all here waiting for you.
But Jetstar has plans to bring tourists back, launching new flights between Hobart and the Gold Coast, taking off to and from the popular destination 3 times a week from December 1.
With the pent-up demand there, this could be up to $10 million in overnight tourism expenditure for Tasmania and probably up to 100 jobs.
The market's there, and we're greatly encouraged by the fact that Jetstar have seen it appropriate to bring them back.
The empty tarmac here at the Hobart Airport has been a common sight throughout COVID, but that could soon change with the reopening of Tasmania's borders now imminent. As a result, Jetstar says it will also begin to increase the frequency of existing routes.
We're looking to add services to Adelaide from Hobart, to Brisbane from Hobart and to Brisbane from Launceston.
At Launceston Airport, staff now want people moving through its quiet terminals once more.
We may only be 30% initially, and then demand will drive it up. But it's probably a good couple of years before we can fully recover the schedule, the routes and the frequencies on those routes.
A full recovery still a long way away. Meg Sides, 7 Tasmania News.
Convicted killer Susan Neal-Fraser's appeal has again been delayed because of border restrictions. The appeal, which was scheduled to be heard in November, has been postponed until March next year. Neal-Fraser supporters say they hope it will be the final delay.
She accepts that this delay is inevitable, but obviously it's hard for her. Yeah, 12 Christmases in prison, it's just very unbelievable.
The hearing is expected to last 5 days. An independent review will be conducted to analyse the future of the state's potato imports. Tasmanian farmers have raised concerns over a decision to allow a South Australian company to import the vegetable. They say it's a move which could cripple the local industry. Now, a plant pathologist has been appointed to review the decision, with an outcome expected early next week. The family of a man who died last week while kayaking has expressed its heartbreak but also gratitude. The body of 19-year-old Valentine Bester was discovered at Slopen Main Beach last Friday. In a statement today, family members paid tribute to the teenager, describing his adventurous spirit and determination. They also thanked emergency services for their search efforts. The State Emergency Service has warned Tasmanians to prepare for wild weather on the way tomorrow. Heavy rains and strong winds are expected, likely to cause flash flooding and debris across roads. The SES says now is a time to get ready.
Making sure that they tie down any outdoor furniture, trampolines and so forth. Also making sure that they're planning well ahead. So for road users, making sure that they plan their trips well, making sure that they're staying attuned to weather alerts from the Bureau of Meteorology.
It's also recommended checking on pets and livestock and being prepared for power outages. Tasmanian scientists are hoping to shed light on the secrets of the sea floor as they prepare to set sail to Macquarie Island. Australia's national research vessel, the Investigator, is currently docked in Hobart, but on Friday it will head off on the 24-day voyage. The crew will work to create the first high-resolution maps of the area surrounding the island. The trip will also enable experts to monitor future earthquakes and tsunamis from the region, which could affect Australia. A group of young people living with a disability has taken to the field to test their footy skills. The Parkside Foundation has teamed up with the Southern Tasmanian Junior Football League for the School Holiday Clinic. Participants aged 12 to 17 were put through their paces, with organisers hoping they will feel more confident about getting involved with local teams.
Having that lead-on role to other things that they can do within clubs, so whether it's about timekeeping or whether it's about goal, being a goal umpire.
The All Abilities program will finish with a round-robin tournament next year. The life-saving work of Tasmania's peri-operative nurses has been celebrated as part of a National Day of Recognition. The crucial role includes caring for patients throughout their entire surgical experience. And for the Hobart Private Hospital's CEO, there's also a personal connection, with perioperative nurses saving her life following complications during childbirth.
10 years ago today, I had a medical emergency and was rushed to theatre. They got all the theatre set up, they had all the equipment we needed and made sure that I'm still here today.
We as a team will be there for her during the procedure, which is really a comfort for every patient. So that's the first step as a perioperative nurse.
Around 70% of all patients at the hospital pass through the theatre ward. One of the state's premier tourist attractions will be closed from next week for some long overdue maintenance. The Cataract Gorge's Alexandra Bridge will receive a fresh paint job as part of works beginning on October 12.
Really, it's a very basic work, but it's important work, and the suspension bridge is something that people love in the city, and you see it often in photos wherever you go, so it's something that we want to make sure it's safe into the future. The painting and the tying of the bolts is extremely important for safety precautions.
The works will affect access though. The First Basin's pedestrian causeway is currently flooded. Without the bridge, a $13 ticket on the chairlift is the only way across the basin.
And another Tasmanian has joined the AFLW ranks, with Brooke Brown selected by North Melbourne in last night's draft. The Launceston player is known for her versatility across both the footy field and basketball court.
Brooke Brown couldn't watch a portion of last night's AFLW draft as she was preparing for Launceston's upcoming TSLW finals campaign.
I was on the park for the first half of it, so I quickly checked the phone when I got off the park to see the earlier picks, quickly rushed home.
Making it home in time to see her taken at pick 49 by North Melbourne. She's looking forward to putting on the blue and white next season. The 184cm Blues player known for her versatility, playing in the ruck, down back and up forward. Her all-round ability extending across other sports, also taking to the court for the Launceston Tornadoes.
When Corona kind of cancelled the basketball season this year, it's when I made the jump over to TSL football here in Lonnie, and we've just gone from there.
In the TSL, this year's grand final venue will be able to host 25% of its seated capacity. If held at Utah Stadium, for example, more than 3,000 spectators would be allowed in.
Life as we have known it has been disrupted, but those measures have also kept Tasmanians safe.
And in hockey, University in Derwent will play in the men's preliminary final. Uni winning in a shootout against OHA after a remarkable 6-all draw, while Derwent threw away a 2-goal lead to lose to Northwest Grads.
Hard to watch sitting on the bench the whole match, but you know it happens and we just got to deal with it, focus on the next couple games.
While in the women's, elimination final winner Diamondbacks will face minor premier Northwest Grads, who lost to OHA. The Diamondbacks looking to pull off an upset.
It's going to be a tough competition. We're both pretty similar. I think they're a bit scared of us from beating Derwent now, so it'll be good.
John Hunt, 7 Tasmania News.
The CEO of Tasmania's new NBL side says he predicts basketball fans will warm to the Jack Jumpers mascot. The moniker was chosen following a public poll but has divided opinion, with basketball greats like Andrew Bogut deriding the decision. But team boss Simon Brookhouse says its reception is changing.
There were a little bit of negativity as people saw, but that's really turned around quickly, and I think when people saw the brand actually come to life with the video and the animation and the things we've done, it really engaged and resonated with the families, so we couldn't be happier.
The team is slated to play 2 games in Launceston, but an upgrade to the Silverdome's lighting for TV broadcasts is required. And after being postponed from its usual winter date, the Launceston Running Festival is on its marks for 2020. Organisers are buoyed by an expanded schedule, a virtual component and a bumper crop of elite talent earmarked for the event.
The final strides of a marathon planning effort.
It's been an absolute pain in the butt, to be completely honest, the amount of extra work that COVID has brought. We've always remained optimistic. I think we needed to in 2020.
The Launceston Running Festival, pushed out of its usual June slot, The starting gun now set to be fired on Sunday, December 13.
We're adding a half marathon as well, which will add to the full flavour of the festival, including the 10 kilometre, which is the traditional distance, the 5 kilometres, and the new 1 mile event.
A virtual event also on the cards for those who can't make the physical run. Organisers just excited to have the date set in stone.
It'll be potentially the biggest event in Australia since COVID hit in March in terms of participation numbers. So that's really exciting for the everyday runner.
This year it's a bit of a silver lining, I guess, that I actually will be in Australia during the time the event will take place.
With much of their usual calendar wiped out, Tassie's elite athletes are just excited to feel the rush of competition.
It's nice to see some events starting up again after what's been a pretty interesting year.
Community involvement just as high a priority.
Because so many people want to get out and do events, we know that. We see a lot of people walking and jogging around the beautiful city every day.
First steps back towards normality. Josh Duggan, 7 Tasmania News.
Good evening. Lyre-Weenie the coldest with -3, while Launceston, Bushy Park and Strahan posted the warmest with 18 degrees today. Hobart and Burnie 15, Devonport 16. Temperatures were close to average. Friendly Beaches 17, Smithton and Flinders Island 16, St Helens 15, Lowhead 14, King Island 13 degrees. After a relatively clear start, the cloud did begin building up over the north and down along the east coast today. One major band of cloud on the map stretching from the Northern Territory right across the southeast of the country, cold front near WA. Tomorrow a low will deepen over Victoria and move over Western Bass Strait during the day, and that's what is packing a bit of punch for us tomorrow. Winds firstly east-northeasterly reaching 35 knots before shifting northeast to northwesterly over the north in the afternoon, swells in eastern waters increasing to 4 metres. We have a severe weather warning for heavy rainfall. That's out for the east, north, Midlands and central plateau, and also for damaging winds for those same areas along with the west. A gale warning from Sandy Cape to Low Rocky Point, a strong wind warning for eastern inshore waters and the southwest lakes. Also a minor flood warning for the Jordan, Macquarie, South and North Esk rivers, Cole and Meander rivers, and a flood watch for the Mersey. Also a sheep graziers warning for most grazing districts including the Bass Strait Islands. Tomorrow, this is what we can expect. Rain and wind. Hobart 16, 15 for Cygnet, New Norfolk 16 degrees. Some heavy falls there. 16 for Launceston, some heavy falls in the offer. 15 for Devonport and Campbelltown with rain on the way. Same for everywhere actually. Burnie a top of 15, 19 for Strahan, Smithton some heavy falls and 16 degrees. And St Helens tomorrow 16. Rain, possible heavy falls for St Helens and Swansea, 16 also for Fingal. Now on Friday, a few more showers with strong and gusty winds. Light showers into Saturday, missing the southeast though. And on Sunday, mainly fine apart from a shower over the west and south. Plenty of rain up north as well. Showers forecast for Perth, Adelaide and Canberra. Rain for Melbourne and a probable storm in Sydney with 30 degrees there. Partly cloudy weather in Brisbane. Cloudy in Hobart, 13 right now, 15 in Launceston, cloudy in Devonport and 12. Kim, I've just been told the Ferris wheel will not be operating at the Launceston show tomorrow. Or anything.
Clarifying, there is no Launceston show this year. There is no Ferris wheel. I don't think there's been a Ferris wheel in quite some time, Merv. That shows how long since you've been to the show. Good night, everyone. See you tomorrow.